Hi, thank you for joining the 3v3 soccer rules presentation. We won't go over all the rules in this presentation. We do ask that you read our rules section on the website, but we did want to highlight some major changes to some of the rules since 3v3 soccer is a new sport. Typically around this time of year, we have our indoor soccer league. But again, we want to make sure we highlight some major rule changes that we want you to be aware of. So most rules stay very similar to our indoor soccer league of the past, with the exception of a few changes. The first we'll go over is gameplay. The second is scoring. The third is the goal box. And then also some changes to infractions and penalty kicks. Again, I stress that these are new, not only to you as participants, but also to our officiating staff. While they have the basis of soccer under their belt, there are some nuances with this change that we want to make sure that everyone understands and grasps. So if you have a question at the captain's meeting, please ask it, but please also be respectful to our staff as they try to navigate some of these rule changes as well. So gameplay, the big changes for gameplay, in an effort to kind of maximize time and be conscious of a 3v3 game is very high aerobic exercise. We thought that halves might be too much and take a lot out of players, so we've split it into 3 periods of 8 minutes each. And there'll also be 3-minute intermissions at the end of those 8 minutes to give you a little break to get some water, to sub in and out, things like that. Substitutions, if you have subs, great. That's still like it was for indoor. You can sub on the fly at mid-court. Just make sure that you get off the field before the next person comes in. Mercy rule, if a team's up 7 goals with 2 minutes left to play in the last period, the game will be called. There's no goalies for 3v3. We will be using pop-up goals, so they're a little bit smaller, or a lot smaller than our traditional indoor goals that we use. No goalies, but there will be a goal box, which we'll talk about shortly and explain what that is. And like we said for our regular captain's meeting, teams should bring a white and dark colored shirt to all their games. So scoring, big changes here for scoring in indoor. In the past, you could pretty much shoot wherever you needed to. Since this is a smaller field, it's 30 yards by 20 yards. It's a little bit smaller than our typical indoor soccer field. You can only score on your offensive side of the field, and see the exception below, which we'll talk about in a sec. But the big changes are no goals can be scored directly off a kickoff. The midline separates the defensive and offensive end. And if a ball is kicked from the defensive half and is not touched before the ball rests in the goal, a goal kick would be awarded to the defensive team. So the big thing here to know is that if you're going to try to shoot on goal, you need to do it from your offensive side of the field. The exception to that is if a player in their defensive half kicks the ball across the midline and the ball hits another player, whether it's offensive or defense, and the ball goes into the goal, a goal would be awarded. So if you do kick it from downfield behind the midline and it either heads off or is touched off one of your offensive teammates and goes in, that's great. If you hit it real hard and say it deflects off a defensive player and accidentally rolls in, hey, that's going to be a goal too. So you can score from behind your midline, but if you're looking for a direct shot on goal, it needs to be from your offensive side of the field. Infractions, penalty kicks. So something we wanted to talk about is if a player receives a yellow card in indoor. In the past, it used to be you had to sit for 5 minutes. We're going to lower that to 4 minutes since each period is 8 minutes long. And you may substitute a player in for someone that gets a yellow card. We don't want to give cards, but we will if we need to enforce penalties or infractions. As always, there's no slide tackling in indoor soccer, outdoor soccer, whatever type of soccer we do. We deem it dangerous. We don't want anyone getting hurt. If you do slide tackle, it will result in a yellow card. There may be some rare instances where the official can use their judgment in enforcing this. That is going to be up to the official. But for the most part, it will be a yellow card if there's slide tackling. So please, if you're a captain watching this, we know that you know, but make sure your teammates know. Make sure you tell them this every single game. We will stress it in the captain's meeting as well, but please do not slide tackle. Penalty kicks, if they're awarded, all penalty kicks are taken from the center dot of the midline, so the same place where you would kick off. Um, Everyone must stand behind the midline while that's kicked, and that's essentially going to be a dead ball period. So the person kicking, anybody on the team can kick it. It doesn't have to be the person that was fouled. Um, the person that is kicking it basically gets that shot on goal. If they miss, it's just going to result in a goal kick for the defensive team. If they make it in, we'll go at midcourt, and the other team will regain possession there. So the goal box, this is probably the biggest and could be the most complex change we have. But essentially, when broken down, is pretty simple. This is a box that appears in front of the goal, and the following applies to play within it. No ball contact is allowed within the box, but players may pass through the box as long as it is not touched. The exception to this is if the defense regains possession on their side of the field outside of the box, they may freely dribble or possess the ball within the box as they move to the other end of the field. So the most common piece where we'll probably see this is, if it's a turnover by the offense and the defense wins it over on their side of the field, they essentially can use that whole side of the field to move the ball freely as they move into their offensive half. So that means they can go into the goal box, they can dribble through it, they can stand in it, things like that. If during an offensive attack the ball comes to rest in a goal box, a goal kick is awarded regardless of who touched it last. So here's the goal box basically in simplified terms. Any part of the ball or a player's body that's on the line or inside the plane of the box. So think of the box as a glass plane extending upward. Basically, no part of your body can cut through it or go into it, with the exception that we just talked about for the defense when they're bringing the ball up the field. If in the situation where a ball is kicked and a defensive player touches the ball after it has entered the plane, a goal would be awarded to the offensive team. If the offense shoots and an offensive player touches the ball after it has entered the plane, maybe they try to redirect it because they noticed it wasn't going to go in, or it just kind of slowly dribbling in and they want to push it in, that's not allowed, and a goal kick would be awarded to the defensive team. So basically, here's the goal box essentially. If the offensive team shoots on goal and a defensive player runs into the box, sticks their leg into the box, arm, whatever it is, no matter if it was going in or not, it's going to be a goal awarded to the offensive team. If on the opposite end, the offensive player is looking to shoot directly on the goal and their teammate touches it or tries to redirect it while in the goal box, the goal will not count and a goal kick would be awarded to the defensive team. And those are pretty much the new rule changes for this sport. Again, look at our website for the whole detail of all the rules for this sport and any other sport you're playing. But again, we ask you, this is a brand new sport for everyone involved. So if you do have questions, please ask our supervisor staff or our officials on the field. And we ask that you have fun and be safe.